What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD interview. So you guys, this week I'm really excited to have a good friend of mine who's also a client of mine here on the show. This guy is a serial entrepreneur. He started everything from fire extinguisher companies to jewelry businesses. And now today he's a real estate agent that operates a very successful brokerage out of Sacramento, California. Before we jump into this interview is brought to you, as always, by our sponsors, PerfectStormNow.com, www.perfectstormnow.com, front-end lead generation real estate specific software that goes out there and crushes anything else out in the space. $99 a month, front-end lead generation software. I'll put it against the $1,500 a month sites, dude. We go out there and dominate on the lead gen, as well as our 90-day Mastery Bootcamp, www.90daymastery.com. I've got 8 of those going on this year. Actually, the second one starts here in February. So we have 6 left that will be taking place. That's 40 hours of in-depth coaching, 3 hours every single week with me. They're live sessions. This isn't recordings. Plus you get daily access to me. Show me any program that exists on this planet where you get daily access to your coach for $1,000 for a whole 3-month program. Like, you can go out there and pay $12,000 for any other program, whatever that exists. These programs that are $1,000 a month, which to me is highway robbery. They won't even compare to what we've got and what we do here. So go check out www.90daymastery.com. With that being said, let's jump on in today's epic interview with my great friend, Dan Parisi. See you guys soon. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith with another GSD interview, where we interview top entrepreneurs, top real estate agents, and just people that are out there doing big things with their life that choose to not accept mediocrity. So today here I'm in the studio with a guest, with a great friend of mine, Dan Parisi with Coffee Real Estate out of Sacramento, California. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Josh. Great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we spent the whole weekend together, masterminding, swapping ideas of how to grow each other's business, and your story is really interesting, right? How you've come from, because you were an entrepreneur before you got into the real estate space,
right?
And then you've attacked this from the lens of an entrepreneur, and I think that's why you've been so successful. So before we kind of talk about your real estate journey, let's talk about how you got involved in entrepreneurship in the first place.
Went in the military. Came out of a very poor background, so it was my ticket out, and so got the discipline in the Air Force and things like that. But realized that wasn't a career for me, and getting out, just started working for people, and I realized I had a passion to work for myself. So then I started. I've probably gone through 12 or 13 businesses. First one was probably my TNT, which was an exterminator company. So when I was moving on that, I gave that to my dad to operate. Then I had a fire extinguisher company in Philadelphia. Got a little bit violent there, so we moved out to Sacramento. I sold that company to a business, started another company, another fire extinguisher company, and you like Ready, Fire, Aim, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you a Ready, Fire, Aim story on fire extinguisher. So I started out there, and California does things different. They have this 6-year maintenance, and what it is in fire extinguisher, it's under 200 pounds of pressure, but there you're supposed to empty it out every year. So I started this company out there, not really knowing how to do that. So I get in my first count, land it, go out there, say, how the heck do I get this thing 200 pounds of pressure? So I start unscrewing the lid off. All of a sudden, you get 5 pounds of the stuff spraying out, all yellow, powdered out. I walked into go, oh, yeah, I'll be back in a couple days. Go run out to the suppliers. Hey, how do you do this? Give me the equipment. They mail me all the equipment, come out there, learn how to do it, fix the fire extinguisher, and moved on again. So that's definitely jumping in before you get there.
Yep. And, it's the only way to do it, though.
I love it. Then I California is almost as hot as Phoenix, and being out in that, doing those jobs out in that parking lot, went to 112 degrees. I said, I got to get out of here. So I paid a guy to train me about coins, and I did a coin and jewelry shop for about 7 years. And then I went retired. Because I had kids. And so I went retired for about 3 years, and made a business mistake, but a best business mistake of my life, type of thing. Lost a third of my wealth in a venture magazine publishing. Had a great time, but learned a lot. It was called Managing Success. Interviewed people like Tom Sullivan and Billy Graham. Don Shula was in the can for the last magazine. I stopped, and then I we had to go back to work. Then I started a jewelry shop and then ran that, and it's doing well. I turned it over to my children to run.
Okay, so that's still running today then?
Yeah, it's one of the core pillars, Jay Abraham's pillars of income. So it's one of my core pillars for financial security. And my son, I turned over the CEO to him, and my other son's running the actual operations. And then I got into real estate.
Yep, love it. So, you go from a exterminating company to fire extinguishers to a coin company to jewelry company. How do you choose these companies? I mean, is it something that maybe you had passion? I mean, like, how do those even come up?
Well, when I was in his 20s, it was basically just looking to see what everybody else did and seeing if I could do it, seeing if I liked it. I definitely investigated a lot. I looked at the flower shop for a year, for a while, because I had some contact with that and people encouraged that, but just the perishable aspect was not me. People always suggest restaurants, but the perishable aspect and the employee aspect and turnover on restaurants are just not my personality type. So when I in the beginning was more ready, fire, very quick, short thing. Then, so with the due diligence, like the real estate, it probably took me over 6 months to evaluate to see if I want to do this. Before I was licensed, I took some classes. I took how to be a broker from our local realtor. So I was in that class unlicensed. So I was learning the skill sets to see if this, as part of the due diligence. So first due diligence was reading a couple of articles. Last due diligence, 6 months, I interviewed brokers. I interviewed people, see if there was a lifestyle. And I like people. You got to really, I like them on a personal level. The thing about jewelry is you get clients, can't spend time. Real estate, one-on-one, you can spend as much time as you want to with them. And then you're dealing with one of the biggest dreams in their lives. One of the things I used to do is I would help people, they call them sphere now, friends of influence, friends and family. I'd help them with their down payment because you can't get down payment. So I'd give them their down payment. And when they sold the house and got equity, they could pay me back or not, it was one of those things. So always felt passionate about helping people get into their home. And so it just was a kind of a fit with my core passion. And what I like to see people do in families, because when you have your own home, you can really get through a lot of stuff.
Right.
And, that privacy and intimacy, really makes it together. So I try to build, when I look for people's homes, I actually look for that, the private space and the public space, to see if it can help build a family. So we look at that for our clients.
Yep, love it, man. So you jump into the real estate space, and I think one of the reasons that, just from knowing you and just from an observer, one of the reasons that you've had such success is because of your entrepreneur experience. I think one of the reasons that so many real estate agents fail is because they just go in this with the lens of I'm a realtor, right? Listing presentations, buyer presentations, all the practitioner stuff, which is important.
Definitely.
But we've got to look at this from the lens of an entrepreneur as well. So when you jump into real estate, kind of walk us through that, because we're in an industry with a 90% failure rate in the first 3 years. 80% year-over-year turnover. So most people struggle very hard in their first year or two, and then they drop out. So what were some of the things that right when you first got in the industry that you did to make sure you weren't a statistic and having to leave the business?
Partly was studying it. I found that a lot of the agents were not doing a good CMA when they're like listing, and they were selling values tremendously under. They were using REOs and all that to comp out a traditional sale. And people are losing that. So when I would show them that, and their passion got a lot of sales out, because people realized that, hey, I'm underselling my price. That's why I'm selling in 2 days. I'm selling it for this for $50,000, $60,000 less than the flipper bought it, and then he's turning it around and making $50,000, $60,000 on my home when I'm not distressed on. So it's not a distressed situation, and yet we're pricing it and selling it like a distressed property. So when I communicated that to my sphere, that ended up getting a lot of listings and excuse me. Making that work. So basically it was a marketing and finding the niche that can make things work. I find that niche marketing is one of the keys. So that's one of the ways I can help mitigate there. So in the due diligence process, when I was interviewing those, I was realizing I had to come up with a niche and what I could do better. So I had a value proposition that would work in the marketplace. Partly is I do a lot more listings than on the buy side, because I can market difficult properties to sell. I approach it from a business aspect. So I look at that property as a business. How am I going to market it? And so we have a 92-point marketing process. And I tell them that's just a start. Because if your property needs a PR, I'm going to send out press releases on your property. If it needs other things like that, if it needs me talking to other people in person, we're going to go make that happen. So we take each property and evaluate it from a marketing standpoint. So that's where the business translated in. It's a great value proposition for those wanting to sell. And then that led to the success of the business.
Yeah, so your business has evolved from you being a real estate agent to now operating a brokerage. So when you're talking about niches, when you bring on an agent to your company and you're helping to guide them and mentor them to become successful and identifying their niche, what are some of the things that you do or instruct to help them identify that niche?
First things, we look at their sphere, their friends and family, and what they're about already. That's a big indicator. So we work off of that. Sometimes the sphere is geographical farm. In other words, they live in a great community that they're really plugged into, and then we just see if it makes the right turn rate, and then we go ahead and market in the geo area for the agent. Sometimes it's more passion-oriented, golf, or if they're Christian, or any kind of other areas at bodybuilding. Then we go ahead and say, let's tap into that community and work in that niche. Some of the niches that we do, I do care homes. Fell into that niche from one of my past clients who had a care home. And then once I got the knowledge to sell their house, I kind of was all of a sudden the go-to guy. So I'm doing I have 3 major care homes now, and it's taking me out of my zone because they're Sacramento area is here, and now all of a sudden now care home people are calling from 3 or 4 counties over, and I got $1 million listing with a beautiful view of the Sierra Buttes, but it's, an hour and a half commute to go show the property. But
that's the cool part about listings, though, because it's you drive that hour and a half to set it up, but you don't have to drive there for each showing, right? Or do you in the care facilities?
In the care facilities, we have to, because we have people needs. This particular one, like down children, and they're taking care of, and things. Sometimes I've seen, and we have to be careful of their emotional state when we're showing. So actually, there's a lot of education talking to the buyer, how to interact with the clients. Sometimes we got to come in under false pretense, like we're viewing to put a person in there, so we won't create a dysfunctional atmosphere for the clients. So we're not being dishonest with the other people, but we got to manage the clients there. So unfortunately, on the listing side, when it comes to care homes, it is a high maintenance. It's there. So I'm there on every listing on my care homes, just because I don't want to take a chance and just have somebody say something and set off a person's life that needs our help and compassion. But it opens that door now, marketing now. So now people are understanding coffee real estate in Sutter County. And since that's such a big one, I have to market it in San Francisco because that's where the money is. There was only $3 million sales in Sutter County in the last 6 months. Yeah. During the same period in San Francisco, there was nearly 1,000. Yeah. So they can't afford it in Sutter. So you got to go where the buyers are, and that's part of the marketing package. So so looking at their passions and then go from that. So it can be both. We have one agent that's a horse expert. She did 4-H horse. She did equestrian type of thing. So she knows the English writing. So she automatically knew barn upkeep and what's a good barn, what's a bad barn. So she knew the arenas, if it's got good footing. I remember going out with her on one of her first showings because helping her, and she just said, this arena's got some major issues. So you got about $10,000 in cost to bring this arena up for that. So she was able to educate her buyers to show them how to place the bid. So we got to factor that in when we're bidding.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think more importantly now than ever is being that specialist in your space. Mm-hmm. Now with all these, discount brokerages and like Open Door and Curb Call and all this junk that's happening in our industry, it's like we've got to get hardcore with that specialty, because then we bring an element that technology can't bring. Exactly. So I think it's more important than ever before. So out of curiosity, how'd you come up with the name Coffee Real Estate?
I really wanted Key, but I think I would have been in more legal fights in the universe with Key Real Estate. And it's basically just you remember it. You tell a client once, and they're a Revisto. I tell you, I had to try to remember that one several different times. I love the meaning. I think the symbolism for the team, fantastic, but it's just it's an alien concept. And I try to retain that. Yep. Coffee, I say it once to a person, they know it. And so I just start logoizing because some of the things you're saying about wearing badges. And people are coming up to me, Coffee Real Estate. Oh, yeah. And they all think they heard of it, but...
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, I love coffee, so it works out good. I have a buddy of mine that has, he's opening one here in Scottsdale, and it's going to be a coffee shop. Okay. But that's going to be his real estate firm. Okay. So it's going to be open to the, people can come in there and buy coffee, but they'll have conference rooms, in there that they can rent out, but they'll have an agent on call, and there's a lot that can evolve to. It's pretty cool. So
yeah, I first started, I could only get coffeereal.estate. And then the original owner of Coffee Real Estate, I couldn't get coffeerealestate.com, but it went available. Paid some money to get that URL, so I snagged that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I got that from him. He can't get it.
Yeah, that's killer, man. So we were talking before we went on. Hit the record button here about last month. I mean, you're bringing in a good solid lead every single day, and you're doing that without spending a lot of money, right? So, and that's what most agents struggle with. A lot of agents are like, hey, if you give me a listing presentation, I'll go out there and I'll do a good job with it and get it. They just can't generate the leads to get to face, especially without going out there and stroking a big check. And most agents can't afford, Zillow or whatever that may be. So what are some of those things that you're doing right now to generate those high quality leads so you can get those appointments?
Giving people value. I mean, if you're going to ask for somebody's email or ask somebody's phone number, you got to give them something worth giving that for. So in the content space on the internet, information's everywhere. They can Google it. So kind of a professional-oriented person where I study things.
Yeah.
So I just love studying and I love writing. I'm an author. I write some books. And so I apply that asset to the business and leverage that. So I write books, I write articles, and I try to niche it. Like I write articles on how to buy care homes. I write articles for first-time home buyers. I'm a vet. I understand some of the issues there. So I work with some of the vets as far as understanding some of the benefits we offer them and start giving them free information and helping them to get their dream home. I mean, our nation is grateful and they provide all these benefits and how they can tap into it. So it's giving them value. And then by doing that, they'll go ahead and start interfacing with us. And then frankly, a lot of them, they just need help with knowledge. And if we can help them with knowledge to move on to their life and their dreams, I'm happy. That's a win for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to make a commission check. I mean, that's a win. So we just help people along, and then a few of them need us to actually buy and sell their home, and then that's where we keep it going.
Yeah, and it makes it memorable. So just so you guys can see, and those that are listening here, but those that are watching on YouTube, you can see this. So here's one of your books that you just gave to me for my son, The Legend of Dolphin, children's book. You personally, you signed it, whatever. So when you're meeting those young families, you're able to give their kids a gift in a book that's memorable that they won't forget. And then, and I love this idea. You're the first agent that I really know that's doing this. But you wrote one for sell by owners, how to sell their home successfully on their own. You're branded on the back. You establish yourself as an expert. You got your first time buyer book, right. And you're able to lead generate and do things with these with opt-ins, and they can download the book or have it mailed to them. But it's out of the box stuff that I like, but it's giving them what they want. They want that value. So it's really, really powerful. I love it, man. When you got licensed, what were some of the things that, because a lot of people that get in this business, they think it's going to be easier than they typically find it to be. What were some of those things that you found challenging that maybe you were surprised were a challenge in this industry?
Yeah, I operate my businesses on a value orient. So like my jewelry shop is not a prestigious posh place that, you got to pay more because you shop here. We give you the biggest diamond for the buck, period. You're not going to buy a better diamond from a better expert anywhere. So I'm a value-oriented person. I believe in giving them the best I can. And a lot of the decisions that homeowners and buyers make are relational based, that they'll have their relative or their friend do the transaction, even though they're inexperienced, even though they're not doing a real professional job for them. And that non-logical, emotional, relational-based decision is something I still struggle with today. I see people losing thousands. I see people not getting into homes as home buyers because they're trusting on their nephew or a friend or somebody they work at Pilates with, and they're just not getting the professional service just because of relationship. I understand you want to support your friends and family, but this is your home, your dream home, or your investment property. You got to go with a professional. But that decision is not translated into people. And that aspect of the business is every day shocking to me. When I see them losing thousands on their home that they could be putting towards their family's future just because, it's a nephew. Is a nephew worth $30,000? Would you just go ahead and hand them $30,000?
Right.
And yet people are making that decision, not going with a real skilled professional over there. So that I don't know how to beat that. I don't know how to overcome it. It's one of those things that just is, like Jim Rohn says. Some things just are, and you just have to. You can't let it get to you. You just have to. the nature of the universe, and just have to go roll with it.
Yeah, it is amazing. One of my good friends, he had brain surgery like 20 years ago. And so he always tells the story in his listening presentation. He's like, hey, I had brain surgery 20 years ago. When I found out I had to have this surgery, he goes, I interviewed all the neurosurgeons or all the brain surgeons and went with the best, the most experienced. I didn't pick up the newest guy that, it's an important surgery, and it's important when we're doing that. And I agree too. It's amazing the lack of due diligence that they truly do and how they don't see that picture. And then they're just thinking, I'm trying to save the quick buck up front. But it's the same thing with agents. See agents going and joining, a brokerage because they think that they're saving, but they end up not getting the support and the knowledge that they need from a great broker like yourself that can truly help them go out there and craft their business and make hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars more.
Right.
So what are some ways that if our listeners want to reach out to you, if they want to check out your books, if there's somebody in your local market that's like, hey, Coffee Real Estate, I'd love to go check it out, and looking for either a change or looking for a brokerage to join, how do people reach you?
The easiest way is a website. It's coffeerealestate.com, just like it sounds and spells. And go there, look at the materials. We have stuff on there for how to buy a house, how to sell the house, a lot of free information. You can actually search in our areas if you need to search. And also for agents, we start giving them some information on how to fulfill their dream, because we're very much on each agent. What's your dream? Let's see how we can be a good fit. And for a good fit, let's move forward. And for not, if you need something else, I'm all for it. Let's go somewhere else. So we just, if we're the right fit for you fulfilling your dream, you'll get some ideas on the website on there too. Yeah,
and one of the main reasons I think you're so successful is because you are passionate, right? You truly care about helping people. You put your clients' needs before your commission check. You put your agent's needs before, again, your paycheck. And we don't see that a lot in this industry. Everybody's, kind of looking out for their own. We see a lot of brokers that, they're really not there to serve their agents. And I think that's why you've been so successful in real estate business and now in your brokerage, because you come from a place of servant leadership.
And that's like one thing that drew me to you. I mean, you're teaching, you are that. It's not just a pitch. It's your soul. And it comes out and all the stuff you do. I mean, your intensity doesn't overshadow, it only enhances your servant leader attitude, and it's amazing. So that you draw stuff, you have a big gravity well that pulls people in.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words. So a couple last questions for you. If you woke up tomorrow and everything was gone, right? Health's good, family's good, all that's good, but everything's wiped out, jewelry business, all your income, all of that. You're left with maybe a few $100 to your name. But now you've retained all this knowledge from all those other 12 or 13 businesses. Now your real estate business, you've retained all this knowledge. What are the first few things you'd immediately do to go out there to rebuild what you've built?
Thank God that I'm still here and in good health. I was a little bit better than Job, I guess. I would probably do a market analysis of what market is doing right for the various things. That if I knew real estate but don't have the assets, but if I knew jewelry and didn't have the assets, see which way I could go and then leveraging that. One of the hard things with starting real estate with nothing is you have to wait for that first commission check. Now, it may be 6 months of pay, but you may have to wait 3 months to get it. Yeah. And that's very hard to start with zero money. That Will Smith movie, I forget the name of it, where he wants to become a financial broker and just does it on, stuff.
Yeah. The son.
Yeah, I mean, he's living that.
Pursuit of happiness.
It's Pursuit of happiness. If I understand, that's a genuine story from a real person. So I would do something like that. Find out where I'd want to go and do it. So I don't know necessarily if it's a slam dunk. If I would do real estate, I would say probably it would be in the top 5. And then I would do the evaluation from there and see what the opportunities are and move with it.
Yeah, I love it. And one thing that we talked about this weekend was the time that is available to us. People don't think they have enough time. And we do go through our time study. It's like, dude, you can work 80 hours a week, sleep 6 hours a night, work out 5 hours a week, and still have 41 hours left over in a week. So a lot of people think, well, I've got this job, so I can't focus on building my real estate career. It's like, no, you can do it all, right? You can go get that job to have that now cash as you're building your real estate business. And so I love it, man. Love it. So, this podcast was created to go out there and just inspire not just real estate agents, but entrepreneurs from every field to go out there and create an epic life, right? Not just with motivation, inspiration, but also a tactical strategy to go out there and build their businesses with that. So with that being said, do you have any last words of maybe motivation, inspiration, or advice that you'd like to leave our listener base with? I mean, you're a guy that's went out there and created, many successful businesses, built them, sold them, and rebuilt, sold, and and now you've got one that's almost extreme, to you at this point, passive income, and now you're building another uber successful business. So you're a guy that's done it. Right. You're a doer, right? So do you have any last words of advice that you'd like to leave our listener base with?
Focus on the person you're going to serve, whatever that is, and solving their need, not your putting your presuppositions in there, but really identify what the hurt and what the need is for those people. So if it's a jewelry, why do they need to buy jewelry from you? And just really work through what you can give them a value proposition. So if you start from the client and their need first, then build your business, then build your systems to satisfy that. And that'll keep you in touch with that person as it changes. I mean, our economy changes, technology changes. But if you're always client focused from their perspective, you'll be in the right spot and won't be a dinosaur.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Powerful words. All right, guys, I know I end every podcast with this, but information without implementation is the start of delusion. Information's not power. It's taking the information that we've learned, implementing it into our world, taking action on it, which creates power in our lives. So you guys just heard from a very, very successful, really serial entrepreneur, if you will, very successful real estate agent, very successful broker owner. So make sure that you take something that Dan shared with you today, implement in your life, implement in your business so you can go out there and create that epic life that you know you want and deserve. So I appreciate you guys watching. And Dan, this has been a huge honor, man. I appreciate you being here, and this has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Josh. It's been an honor too.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.